Hi, my name's Lisa. I'm going to be leading you through week 1 of your yoga practice and your training. So today we're going to be working on a lot of lengthening those muscles you've been working as you're starting to run, opening up the hips and working on those muscles that are tightening up as you begin to gain that endurance as you're running each day. So just give your body time to open up as we slowly move into these poses today. Focus on your breath, focus on lengthening rather than getting into that pose right away. Give yourself the time that you need and just have a lot of fun with it. Take your time, do what feels right for your body. If something doesn't feel right, take the time to find what works, find those little tweaks, those modifications that work for you, and just have some fun with it.
Okay, so first pose we're gonna do is bridge pose. So we're gonna lie on the mats, bend the knees up, heels are gonna be just in front of the sits bones here. You might even be able to tickle your heels with your fingertips. So arms are gonna be down by the sides, spread the fingertips wide, really press your palms into the mat. And then on an inhale, we dig our heels into the mat, lift the hips up high. And so we're gonna focus on lifting the hips up high as well as pulling our heart back. So feel like a string is pulling your heart toward the back of the room and really create that opening in the back space. And we gently tuck the chin under, so we're lengthening the back of the neck. And this might be good for you, this might be where you stay, and that's okay. If you're looking for a little more, you can roll your shoulders underneath your body and interlace your fingers. Press your pinkies down into the mat. This allows you to lift a little bit higher, create a little more space underneath the body. And now notice if you're tightening your glute muscles. Can you soften your glutes? Allow your quads to do all the work here. Notice as you kick your feet harder into the mat, you lift a little bit higher. Good, now just stay here and breathe. Notice your breath, really fill up and then let go. When you're done, fingers come out and slowly roll vertebrae by vertebrae down onto the back.
All right, next pose we're gonna do is boat pose. So we're gonna work on our cores. I know everyone loves working on the core. So we're gonna sit up tall. This is the main thing we wanna focus on when we're working on our core. Often we round into the spine and this can bring damage to the lower back. So we wanna always focus on lengthening, drawing the shoulders back and lifting the heart. So we're gonna bend up the knees, come onto the toes, hands come underneath the knees. And then one leg at a time, we're gonna lift up and rest on the tailbone there. Okay, so you might notice that you've already rounded into your spine. Can you focus on opening the shoulders, lift your heart? So we can stay here. This is the first version of the pose. If you're looking for a little more for your core, you can always open your palms up beside your knees. If you're looking to go even further, lengthen those legs out. So it doesn't matter where you are along the way, everything is perfect, find what works for your body. We just wanna focus on lengthening. So if you've noticed that you've lifted your legs and your spine's begun to round, maybe come back here and realign and then see where you can move from there. So wherever you are, focus on your breath. Keep breathing, fill up your belly, let go. Okay, so we're gonna be working on downward dog next. This is a great jumping off point for a lot of yoga poses. So you're gonna see this come up throughout the weeks. And if you don't get it perfect, that's okay. Yoga's not about being perfect. We're gonna have a lot of opportunity to practice. So we're gonna start from hands and knees, finding a tabletop position here. Very important to spread the fingers wide, so we want the entire palm pressed into the mat. Then we're gonna curl the toes under and send the hips up and back. So we don't wanna just lift, we also wanna press our weight back. So we wanna feel like we've got magnets in our heels, pulling them down toward the mat. Then send your heart back toward your legs. And very important to let the head just hang heavy here. So we don't wanna hold any tension in the neck, just let the head be heavy. Really press into the palms. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. We don't want our shoulders to creep up by our ears. You feel that stretch in the hamstrings. If your hamstrings are feeling really tight here, you can always bring a micro bend into the knees. You might even walk your dog out, bend into one knee and then the other, and just give your body time to lengthen here. Our hamstrings are most likely quite tight after running so much, so take that time. Sink into your downward dog. Okay, so we're gonna work on our warrior two. So we're gonna wanna take a wide stance here. So longer than hip distance apart, you'll find what feels good for your hips. Then you're gonna take that front foot and turn the toes to the top of your mat. So we want the front heel intersecting the arch of the back foot here. Arms come up to a T, palms face down, and when you're ready, bend into that front knee. So we want the knee to be stacked right over the ankle here, making a long line. And you might notice that your knee is falling in or splaying out. Try as best as you can to keep your knee stacked right over the ankle. Beautiful. So as you sink in, notice if your knee's coming forward here, you can always lengthen your stance. Wiggle those back toes back a little further. So there's a lot of power in Warrior Two. We want a lot of power in the lower body here. Really pressing the feet into the mat. You want to feel like you could tear your mat apart with your feet. Really ground in and feel that energy rise up through your body. Often we'll notice our shoulders start to creep up, so can you soften? Let them fall down. Lift the heart, lift the head. And maybe your gaze can come over those front fingertips, sinking in. When you're ready, you're gonna switch sides. I'll switch sides now just to demo the other side. So same thing, heel intersecting the arch of the back foot, sinking in. You might notice this side feels a little bit different. That is because often our hips are made really different side to side. So that's okay. One side will be a little tighter, one will be a little more open. Work with that. If this is your tighter side, feel free to back off a little bit. If it's your more open side, take advantage of that extra space. Really sink in. So from our Warrior Two, we're gonna move into our standing wide-legged forward fold. So you're gonna keep your legs about as far apart as they were for your Warrior Two. But this time we're gonna have to point the toes forward. You might even pigeon toe the feet, meaning you draw your toes a little closer together, heels point out. Hands come onto the hips. We're gonna take a big inhale and lift the heart. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, almost like you could squeeze a pencil between your shoulder blades. At the top of your inhale, take a breath. Exhale, begin to hinge from the waist. We're keeping a lengthened spine, not rounding into it. Once you've come to your edge, then the hands can come down to the mat. So a lot of options here for our forward fold. The hands can be right underneath the face. You might begin to walk them back between the feet. You can hold on to shins or ankles, whatever feels good for you here, whatever allows you to feel supported. So as we sink into our fold, we're gonna feel a deep stretch, obviously in the back of the legs, in the inner thigh, but we also wanna feel it in the lower back. So let your head hang heavy. We want to have a long line of energy coming from the hips all the way to the head. And you might shake your head here a little bit just to loosen up the neck. And you might play around with rocking your weight into your toes and into your heels, or maybe side to side. Just really loosening up the hips, lengthening those long leg muscles that we've been working so hard. All right, so our last pose here is Pigeon, and the easiest way to get into Pigeon is through Downward Dog, so we've already gone into that pose. So getting back into that tabletop, spread the fingers wide, curl the toes under, lift the hip. Then we're gonna take a big kick up with our right leg. On the exhale, draw that leg through. The right knee is gonna come behind the right wrist. Right ankle is behind the left wrist, and then lengthen that back leg up. So we're making kind of a 7 shape here with the legs. So if your knees are feeling any sort of pain at the moment, just take a breath, sit down. I'll show a modification to do after I run through this one. If you're feeling okay here, we're gonna take a breath, sitting up tall on the fingertips, lift the head, lift the heart, and then as you exhale, we're crawling forward into sleeping pigeon. So the head can rest here, anywhere that works for you. So you might stack your fists, rest your forehead. You might stack palms and rest. Maybe you can sink all the way down, resting forehead on the mat. If resting your forehead isn't accessible to you, that's okay. You can stay up on the elbows here, whatever feels good. We just want to be able to release this glute muscle here. So notice if you're really tightening here, can you soften with each breath and allow your body to sink into your pose. And this is a hard one. Our hips are very, very tight. So if you're feeling pain, take a breath and back off a little bit. If you're feeling discomfort, that is normal. Can you breathe into this discomfort? Can you ask yourself if you can stay a little longer? What can you get from this moment here? Just breathing through it. Okay, and then moving into the modification for Pigeon. So if Pigeon was really painful for you, that's okay. This is our modification. So we're gonna lie on the back,
Bend up the knees, take your left ankle, cross it over the right knee, making a figure 4 here with the legs. This might be enough for you, really opening that hip. If you're looking for a little more, the left arm will reach through that hole you created with the leg, right arm will reach around, and the fingers will interlace underneath the knee. Once you've got that grip there, we want to let the head and the shoulders be heavy on the earth. And then it's up to you how deep you go into this stretch. So you might want to stay here, or you might want to really pull that knee close to the body, opening up that knee, opening up that hip, and just find what works for you here.
Okay, so that ends our week 1 of yoga. And if today was a little hard, if it was a little difficult, don't get down on yourself. We're just having fun. We're gonna keep building on what we've learned. We're just gonna have a good time.